Indian economic updates. India has taken major strides toward finalizing a huge defense deal to acquire 114 French-made Rafale fighter jets for the Indian Air Force, IAF, a move seen as one of the country's largest defense procurements ever and a key step in strengthening its aerial combat capability. In the first quarter of the year, the Indian Defence Procurement Board, DPB, headed by the Defence Secretary, approved the proposal to buy 114 Rafale fighters, clearing a significant procedural hurdle. This approval marks the project's initial formal step and allows the proposal to proceed to the Defence Acquisition Council, DAC, for further review and negotiation. Officials indicate the deal could be worth around 3.25 lakh rupees crore, roughly $39 billion, making it one of the most expensive defense purchases in India's history. Once completed, it will dramatically boost India's fleet, helping close a persistent fighter shortage in the IAF. A standout feature of the current negotiations is India's insistence on maximum possible localization under its Make in India defense initiative. Government sources say up to 80% of these 114 Rafale jets could be built in India, with parts of manufacturing migrated from France to Indian facilities. Discussions include setting up maintenance, repair, and overhaul (MRO) hubs domestically and even shifting assembly lines for critical components to India, moves expected to improve serviceability and foster technical know-how within the Indian aerospace sector. India has also laid down strict, non-negotiable conditions for French aircraft maker Dassault Aviation, including significant technology transfer and integration of Indian weapons systems into the jets, reinforcing the localization agenda. The Rafale fighter jet platform, already in service with the Indian Air Force after an initial induction of 36 jets, is viewed as a cornerstone of India's air power, especially amid concerns over regional threats and the Indian Air Force aging fleet. Additional Rafale fighter jet will enhance air superiority, deep strike capability, and overall deterrence against potential adversaries. Selecting Rafale fighter jet also aligns with India's broader strategy to maintain parity with neighboring air forces, which are also upgrading their fighter inventories. The proposed deal is expected to deepen India-France defense cooperation, particularly as French President Emmanuel Macron prepares for an official visit to India, where talks on finalizing the pact may accelerate. In parallel with the Air Force initiative, India has already agreed to a 63,000 crore rupees deal for 26 Rafale Marine jets for the Indian Navy, intended to operate from the INS Vikrant and Vikramaditya. Deliveries of these carrier-based fighters are slated to begin by 2029, further strengthening India's maritime air power. India and the European Union have concluded nearly 2 decades of negotiations by agreeing to a landmark free trade agreement, FTA, that officials on both sides have described as one of the most consequential trade pacts of the 21st century. Signed on 27 January 2026 in New Delhi, the deal, branded by EU leaders as the "mother of all deals," is set to reshape bilateral economic relations and recalibrate global trade dynamics at a time of shifting geopolitical and commercial currents. The agreement, still subject to legal ratification processes in the Indian Parliament, the European Parliament, and among EU member states, aims to liberalize trade in goods and services, substantially reduce tariffs, deepen regulatory cooperation, and facilitate investment and mobility. If fully implemented, expected by early 2027, the FTA will link 2 of the world's largest markets, encompassing roughly 2 billion consumers and nearly a quarter of global GDP. At its core, the India-EU Trade Pact focuses on tariff liberalization, market access, and structural regulatory alignment. Under the terms agreed, tariffs on over 95 to 97% of goods traded by value between India and the EU are slated for elimination or steep reduction. For European exporters, this represents annual savings of up to 4 billion euros in duties, while Indian exporters will see preferential access to markets where they previously faced tariff barriers. Under the India-EU trade deal, India will sharply cut automobile import duties from levels as high as 110% to around 10% for a quota of roughly 250,000 vehicles a year, giving European car makers unprecedented access to India's fast-growing auto market. The agreement is also set to benefit Indian automakers and component makers by easing entry into the EU, boosting exports of vehicles, parts, and electric mobility components. Lower duties on advanced European machinery and technology are expected to support manufacturing upgrades, improve safety standards, speed up the shift to electric and green vehicles, and, through regulatory cooperation and mutual recognition of standards, reduce compliance costs while attracting greater European investment. Import duties on wines and spirits are to fall from around 150% to roughly 20 to 40% over time, signaling broader liberalization in high-value consumer segments. The pact also eliminates tariffs on machinery, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, processed foods, and a range of industrial and consumer goods. On the Indian side, textiles, leather goods, footwear, gems and jewelry, chemicals and marine products are expected to benefit from preferential or zero-duty access to the EU market, helping Indian exporters compete more effectively with established low-cost producers in Asia. Beyond goods, the agreement covers services, investment protection, regulatory cooperation and professional mobility, seeking to ease trade in finance, telecom, business services and transport, with mutual recognition of standards. A key element is climate cooperation, including a €500 million EU grant to help India decarbonize industry and align with the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism (CBAM). Both sides have emphasized cooperation on standards, digital trade, data flows and intellectual property, reflecting shared interests in 21st century commerce. The government, led by Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal, has described it as a milestone in trade policy, stressing strong safeguards for sensitive sectors such as agriculture alongside new opportunities for manufacturing and services. It has underscored measures to protect farmers, including excluding key farm products from major tariff cuts, allowing extended phase-out periods, and retaining safeguards against import surges, while continuing domestic support through subsidies and standards. Observers characterize the deal as more than a commercial pact. It is a strategic statement in a world grappling with trade tensions, tariff escalations, and a rebalancing of supply chains. Internationally, the agreement has triggered unease among several trade partners. The United States, then under former President Donald Trump, publicly expressed disappointment, viewing the EU's deepening economic alignment with India as undermining Washington's push for an America-centric trade architecture. For India, the FTA represents a key plank in its broader economic diplomacy, aimed at reducing dependence on any single market and diversifying export destinations. With high US tariffs and protectionist policies challenging Indian exporters in recent years, access to the EU, historically India's largest goods trading partner, is seen as a vital opportunity to sustain export growth and create jobs in export-oriented sectors. Pakistan and Bangladesh are also expected to face adverse effects, as India's preferential access to the EU could erode their competitiveness in textiles, apparel, and leather exports, sectors where they rely heavily on tariff advantages. Turkey, a major exporter of industrial goods and garments to Europe, may similarly confront intensified competition from Indian manufacturers benefiting from lower duties and improved market access. With legal ratification likely by late 2026 or early 2027, industries are gearing up for phased rollout, as analysts expect Indian exports to Europe to double in 5 years and deeper integration to boost FDI and strengthen Asia-Europe supply chains. The India-EU FTA stands out as one of the most consequential trade agreements of this decade, not only for its scale and ambition, but for its symbolic affirmation that open markets and strategic partnerships remain central to global economic stability in an era marked by rising protectionism and geopolitical competition. The helicopter fleet of the Indian Armed Forces is undergoing a period of structural transition, shaped by operational demands, aging legacy platforms, and a sustained push towards indigenization. Rotary-wing aircraft remain central to India's military capability, supporting missions that range from high-altitude warfare and rapid troop mobility to maritime security, logistics, and humanitarian assistance. While modern foreign-origin helicopters have strengthened niche capabilities, the long-term focus is increasingly on indigenous platforms, supported by domestically sustained engines and supply chains. The Indian Air Force operates the largest share of the country's military helicopter inventory. The Mi-17 V5 medium-lift helicopter continues to form the backbone of transport and logistics operations, valued for its versatility across varied terrain and climate conditions. These helicopters have played a key role in sustaining forward deployments in mountainous regions and during disaster relief operations. Complementing this capability is the CH-47F Chinook heavy-lift helicopter, along with the limited but unique MIL Mi-26 fleet, which together have enhanced the ability to move artillery, engineering equipment, oversized loads, and supplies to remote and high-altitude locations. In the combat role, the AH-64E Apache attack helicopter, supported historically by the Mi-25 Hind, has provided a major boost in precision strike, night operations, and battlefield survivability, integrating advanced sensors and networked warfare systems. Army aviation assets are primarily oriented towards reconnaissance, logistics, and close support. However, the continued reliance on aging Cheetah and Chetak helicopters has remained a concern. These platforms, despite their proven service in high-altitude environments, face increasing limitations related to payload capacity, maintenance demands, and safety margins. Their phased replacement has become operationally urgent, particularly along India's northern borders. Naval helicopter capability is centered on maritime surveillance, anti-submarine warfare, and shipborne operations. The induction of the MH-60R Seahawk has addressed a long-standing capability gap in anti-submarine and multi-role maritime aviation, enhancing fleet protection and surveillance reach. Indigenous Advanced Light Helicopter (ALH) variants continue to support utility, search and rescue, and coastal surveillance missions from both shore bases and naval platforms. A defining aspect of the current transition is the growing role of indigenous helicopter development led by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. The ALH Dhruv, inducted across all three services, has emerged as the backbone of light utility operations. Its weaponized variant, Rudra, provides enhanced firepower for close air support and counterinsurgency roles. The light combat helicopter Prachand represents a major milestone in indigenous combat aviation. Designed specifically for high-altitude warfare, the platform is capable of operating at extreme elevations and temperatures, addressing a niche requirement that few global helicopters can meet. Its induction into both the Army and Air Force reflects a shift towards role-specific indigenous solutions. Despite progress in airframe design and avionics, engine dependency has historically remained one of the most critical vulnerabilities in India's aerospace ecosystem. This has placed renewed strategic emphasis on engine development and sustainment, an area where collaboration with Safran helicopter engines has assumed increasing importance. The Shakti engine, co-developed by Safran and HAL, powers the ALH Dhruv, Rudra, and LCH Prachand, and has demonstrated reliable performance in extreme operational conditions, including sustained high-altitude missions. Building on this foundation, Safran and Indian partners are advancing cooperation on a new generation helicopter engine with deeper levels of technology transfer and industrial localization. Safran has expanded its footprint in India, focusing on manufacturing, assembly, testing, and maintenance, repair, and overhaul capabilities. For the Indian Armed Forces, this collaboration is strategically significant, as domestically supported engines reduce life cycle costs, improve fleet availability, and mitigate risks associated with external supply disruptions. HAL's future helicopter roadmap is closely linked to these engine initiatives. The Light Utility Helicopter program is intended to replace the legacy Cheetah and Chetak fleets, offering improved payload, modern avionics, and enhanced safety for high-altitude and forward area operations. Beyond this, HAL is developing the Indian multi-role helicopter, envisioned as a medium-lift platform to eventually succeed the Mi-17 series. The Indian multi-role helicopter IMRH is expected to serve transport, special operations, and naval roles, with future variants tailored for shipborne operations. The availability of a more powerful, indigenous or jointly developed engine will be central to the program's viability. The strategic importance of helicopter modernization has grown amid evolving regional security challenges. Rapid mobility along contested borders, sustained logistics in difficult terrain, and expanded maritime surveillance in the Indian Ocean region underscore the critical role of rotary wing aviation. Helicopters also remain essential for humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, where speed and vertical lift are decisive. While imported platforms such as the Apache, Chinook, and MH-60R will continue to fill key roles, the long-term direction is clearly shifting towards Indian-designed and Indian-supported helicopters. The alignment of indigenous airframes, locally sustained engines, and a strengthening domestic supply chain reflects a steady move towards aerospace self-reliance. India is moving towards becoming a global leader in sustainable industrial development in energy, railways, roads, and pharma sectors. To make this vision tangible, the government is dedicating to the nation projects worth over 2 lakh rupees crore in Andhra Pradesh, spanning energy, railways, roads, infrastructure, and the pharmaceutical industry. Under this transformational initiative, the government is laying the foundation stone for the Green Hydrogen Hub of NTPC Green Energy Limited at Pudimadaka near Visakhapatnam. The state-of-the-art project, with an investment of Rs 185,000 crores spread over 1,600 acres. To power this Green Hydrogen Hub, 20,000 megawatt renewable energy projects will be installed in Andhra Pradesh. These projects will create more than 57,000 jobs. This ambitious project will establish India as a global leader in the field of green hydrogen production. To enhance rail infrastructure, the foundation stone was laid for multiple railway projects valued at over 6,000 crore rupees. These include the South Coast Railway Headquarters, Guntur-Bibinagar doubling and electrification, and the doubling of Mahbubnagar-Dhone line. These projects will improve connectivity, reduce travel time, and boost regional trade. To boost regional connectivity, the foundation stone was laid and a total of 17 road projects worth over 7,500 crore rupees were inaugurated in Andhra Pradesh. Prominent among these projects are the upgradation of NH 440 from Vempalli to Chaglamari and the widening of NH 167 from Kondamodu to Perichala. These projects will improve connectivity and generate new employment opportunities in Andhra Pradesh. The foundation stone was laid for the bulk drug park at Nakkapalli in Anakapalli district. With an investment exceeding 1,800 crore rupees, this state-of-the-art facility is expected to lower production costs in India's pharmaceutical industry. To further advance modern industrial development, the foundation stone was laid for the Mega Smart City project, Krish City, in Tirupati district. This project, to be built with an investment of rupees 2,139 crore, is spread over an area of 2,500 acres, in which the focus will be on food processing, textiles, auto parts, and electronics. This project will create more than 1 lakh jobs. These projects will shape the future of energy, industry, and infrastructure, generating numerous opportunities for growth and employment. These initiatives will make Andhra Pradesh a leader in sustainable development and industrial progress, paving the way for a green, prosperous, and developed India.